President Trump's sweeping executive actions also include delaying enforcement on the TikTok ban for 75 days. Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey has been part of a bipartisan push to save the social media app, or at least delay it closing down. The senator is joining us now. I will start there just quickly with TikTok. In case people forgot, Donald Trump was the first person, or one of the first people, to try to push forward a ban in his first administration. You, along with other Democrats, have come forward to say you really believe this should be delayed, that the ban should not go into effect. And now Trump's idea is that the app should be owned by both Chinese subsidiary and the United States. Do you agree with him?
Well, obviously, there's 170 million Americans who use TikTok. 7 million American businesses use TikTok. Right now, out in Los Angeles, there are families, there are small businesses using TikTok in order to create new communities and to keep their businesses going. So it's important to keep TikTok online. Now, what Trump just did was, through executive order, extend the time by 75 days. I would have preferred that he used the existing statute, which allowed for a 90-day extension, or that he actually pressed Republicans to pass my legislation that would give an additional 270 days to find a way to resolve the national security issues while at the same time allowing for TikTok to continue to be online. He did
so,
not
Senator, you
do
still
that,
believe, Senator, you still believe that there are serious national security issues with TikTok?
Oh, there are national security issues that have to be worked out. So what is now going to be in place is more time, which is good. We'll have the time to think through these issues. But the idea that's being floated that somehow or other the United States government will own half of TikTok, well, that's just a non-starter. That's not a serious proposal. He's saying that he's going to be talking to the Chinese about the United States owning half of TikTok. That's just not going to go anywhere. So the president's going to have to become more serious about finding a resolution to these issues. We want to keep TikTok up, but we have to resolve the national security issues at the same time.
All right. Let's go to some of his other executive actions. You were on Capitol Hill during the January 6th attack. Trump just signed pardons and commutations for all of those who took part in the attack, including those who were the most violent. How are you going to work with the man who pardoned the people that sent you and others into a state of panic and fear on the Capitol that day?
Yeah. Right here in the Capitol complex, there was an attack by the people who Donald Trump pardoned yesterday. It is absolutely irresponsible. We had hundreds of police who were harmed physically and mentally by their necessity of fighting off all of those people who got pardoned last night so that, I heard the president say, they could come over to the inaugural ball. This is an absolute desecration of the presidential pardon powers. It sends a signal that it is okay for Proud Boys, okay for oath takers and others to once again begin their thoughts about violent insurrection against the United States of America. And for those of us who were here in the Capitol complex on that day, on January 6th, and every day see these police officers, knowing that their families as well have been just adversely impacted in a permanent way, it was an absolute disgrace what the president did last night. And in no way does that reflect what should be the highest aspiration of our country, to say that democracy is our highest principle and it must be protected. Instead, he's given a green light to these insurrectionists to once again be out there and celebrating and thinking about ways in which they can undermine all of those principles which are sacred in our country.
Senator Markey, I want to lastly ask you about something that Donald Trump really ran on, and the polling showed that people wanted him to do something about is immigration. The economy, of course, another big promise, but illegal immigration was also second to that. Trump has now gone further than just cracking down on illegal immigration. He signed an executive order to end birthright citizenship. Do you think this is a harbinger or a testing of the waters to try and end all immigration to the United States as a whole?
Well, first of all, birthright citizenship is in the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, and a president cannot overturn a constitutional provision by an executive order. That is absolutely absurd. Okay, birthright citizenship is going to stay in place. That's just fodder that he's throwing to his MAGA base, which is absolutely something that is not going to happen. Yes, if the president wants to move forward and talk about violent criminals being removed from our country, of course we're going to support that. But of course, the fear that people have is that we're going to have legal immigrants swept up in these dragnets. We're going to see mothers separated from their children as part of this dragnet. That's what people are afraid of in our country. And by the way, all of this just a distraction from the fact that there were the three wealthiest people in America, Bezos and Zuckerberg and Musk, all sitting up there with the same income amongst those three as the bottom 165 million Americans have. And we didn't hear a word about the price of eggs. We didn't hear a word about the price of bacon yesterday. They want to loot the Medicaid. They want to loot the Affordable Care Act, health care protections for ordinary families in order to pay for more tax breaks for those three people sitting right over his shoulder. So that's really what this whole agenda is about. It's a contract with the country club, and instead these distractions are out there in order to take the American people's eye off of the ball, which is, once again, tax breaks for billionaires and cuts for programs for ordinary families, and doing nothing about the price of eggs or bacon.
All right, Senator Ed Markey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate your time.